What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NESN Bets Kickoff. Wrapping up week one.
Yes.
Went by just like that. Ton of great games, but you can't close it out with a better one. We're talking Jets. We're talking Bills. I'm so excited.
I am too. Let's hope the game lives up to the hype, but I think it will, Claudia. I think we're in for a big-time matchup tonight, and you know where I'm headed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jets at home. Hey, look, I'm on the money line tonight. Plus money for the Jets, Claude. I am all over Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if it's hard knocks or what, but I believe.
So this early line open to pick 'em. Also, if you didn't know, Travis Thomas, Claudia Bellafont, Ultimate Betting Show 5:30, lunch line at 1, and now we get to do these micro shows, which are super fun and also very important because we're giving you the latest line. So this game open to pick 'em, and then you're seeing the Bills lay 2.5 to 2, right? So I think a lot of people are torn on this game because we don't know what this Jets offense, I should say. We know what the defense is going to look like, but we don't know what the offense is going to look like with Aaron Rodgers under center.
I think I have a good feel for what it's going to look like. It's going to look awesome, okay? That's why you go and you get Aaron Rodgers. Look, how many games, and you know this, we watched it around here. The Jets should have beat the Patriots how many times, and they didn't. Why? Because Zach Wilson kept throwing the damn game away.
Yeah.
Now, around here, we thank you for that, Zach Wilson. But the reality is this, their defense keeps them in games. They were running the ball effectively with Breece Hall at the time, right? And then Wilson would turn the ball over. Well, now you still have Breece Hall coming back from injury, so we'll see.
Yep.
But, oh, by the way, there's a guy named Dalvin Cook. Have you heard of him? He's running the ball. We know he's effective. He's still productive. I think the Vikings made a mistake getting rid of him. And now you have Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of Fame quarterback, running the ship. One thing we know, Rodgers may not be the Rodgers of old MVP form.
Sure.
However, he's better than Zach Wilson. Say it again, louder for the people in the back. He's not going to throw and give the ball away like Zach Wilson did. So they're going to be in every game. I have faith in this offense, and I didn't even mention Garrett Wilson on the outside.
Well, the pressure is on Rodgers because there's so much hype surrounding this Jets team. When is the last time there was hype surrounding this Jets team?
Right.
So, I mean, one, we know that he can live up to expectations when it comes to winning big games. And this is a big game, right?
Yeah.
Because the Bills are a Super Bowl team that it seemed like everybody was on last season. Not as many people on that bandwagon this season, but this is going to be a really big statement game. If he can get things going early, that's going to prove to be pretty good for the rest of the season. So let's talk about some of these numbers because we got a fan question. Nick wants to know, do you think Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen has a bigger game? So let's work off of these numbers because I think the numbers do tell a bit of a story. Josh Allen, 251.5 pass yards, 1.5 passing touchdowns he's lined at. Aaron Rodgers, 233.5. Really? We're going to short Aaron Rodgers in the market? So because that number is a little lower on Rodgers, would you go over?
Here's what's interesting, and thanks for the question, Nick. Who will have a better game tonight is all relative. And this is why I say this. In fantasy football, I'd say Josh Allen would be my answer because I think the running yards, right, is going to be there tonight. We could talk about props with him and rushing as well as passing. So because of the dual threat, I think Josh Allen would be my answer. In terms of reality football, I think Aaron Rodgers, because I believe the Jets win the game, okay? So naturally, you're going to have a better game if you win the game. But here's where sports betting is the great equalizer. And that's why it's so great to have a NESN Bets Kickoff show. Because from a betting standpoint, you can pick and choose who will have the better game. Because you can pick and choose over here, under here, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, bada bing, bada boom, right? So from a betting standpoint, I would say Rodgers over in terms of the passing yards. And you said it, shorting Rodgers here. I mean, what the heck are we doing? 233.5. He's going to go over that, Claudia, even in a losing effort, because I think the Jets will want to show off their new toy in Aaron Rodgers. So, of course, they will showcase that arm tonight. I kind of like him over 1.5 passing touchdowns as well.
Okay.
I think he could find the end zone a couple times with Garrett Wilson, who we'll talk about later. So for the sake of this answer, I'll say Aaron Rodgers.
Let's talk about Wilson because that's a really good leeway. It's not just all the pressure is on Rodgers. He does have the weapons to get this offense going early with the passing game. You talked about Wilson. 67.5 receiving yards is what he's lined at. Now, he led the team with over 1,100 last season. Now,
Right.
yes, a different quarterback. You're going to have some of that, growing pains, I'm sure. But luckily, it's an MVP caliber quarterback in
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers. So, Wilson, 67.5 receiving yards. Allen Lazard, 36.5. So, again, the market is shorting Lazard, who was Rodgers' #1 receiver in Green Bay. So, I'm curious what you think on those two numbers. Would you go over the higher number with Wilson or on the lower one with Lazard?
I'm not going to go to Lazard because I just think Wilson's a better player, period. Now, obviously, the familiarity is there with Lazard, and Cobb, too, also is on, available if you want to get after that.
Yeah.
I'm not going there. I will go Wilson because, again, big stage of Monday Night Football. He is their #1 target for sure. Rodgers, as we know, he has proven this throughout his career. If you get open and you're the man and you're a playmaker, he will get you the ball. Garrett Wilson's going to get fed tonight. I would go over the 67.5 receiving yards for him. I tell you another market I would swim in, Garrett Wilson touchdown market as well. Because I just told you, I think Rodgers will find the end zone through the air. Who do you think he's going to throw to? Garrett Wilson, that's who.
It's almost like you know what these questions are, because another viewer question from MLB Dream was, who do you like to find the end zone, anytime scorer? The second part of this question, though, was interesting. Do you sprinkle a first touchdown? So the way that this market works is right now you're getting decent plus money on everybody. Like, I love Diggs around plus 140 for an anytime touchdown, but that's probably the best price you're going to get because he finished with tied for the third most touchdowns last season, top 5 in those red zone targets. It's likely we see that same production with the Bills, so plus 140 is probably the best price you'll get on him. Now, in this question, a first touchdown, you're going to get a bigger payout. You're going to get better odds because, of course, nobody can really predict who's going to get the first touchdown. So I'm curious if you ever swim in that market. You know,
it's funny. I don't usually, but for the sake of this combo, I'm looking at the Cook boys, both of them, right?
Yeah.
Look, so we have to think, all this talk about Aaron Rodgers. Let's get real, too, for a second. 2 elite defenses in this game.
Yeah.
2 very physical teams. 2 defensive-minded head coaches. Don't forget that, okay? So what's going to happen? We get to the red zone, get down the goal line. What do you think these coaches want to do? Impose their will. Punch you right in the mouth. So all of a sudden, these Cook boys, James and Dalvin, are in play for a first touchdown market. I would look at either one of them. I lean to Dalvin. He's a better player, right? But that's where I would get involved if I were to make a first touchdown bet.
Okay, so we're talking about scoring. We kind of skipped over the total because it opened 47, but it got moved down to 44.5. And we always talk about not wanting to chase the number, but you just talked about the defenses. Would you still go under despite this move?
No play for me.
Okay.
I am rolling the dice already with the Jets on the money line plus 115, right?
Okay.
So I look at this total. And it did open higher, and initially I was thinking under. 2 elite defenses, could take Rodgers a minute to gel with the offense. But now, 44.5, I mean, Claudia, now I'm leaning over. So as your sports betting advisor, I would advise you, hey, just pick a side in this game and roll with it. Maybe player props, obviously. But the total, stay away from it. But if you said, but Travis, I have to play something on the total, I would advise you to go over.
Or it's just week 1, so you can wait because we got Thursday. We got a whole slate on
But what
Sunday.
if they say, but Claudia, I need to do something?
I will also say if you're not feeling comfortable taking the 2 or laying the 2, you could take the Jets plus 8. The way you do that, put it in a 6-point teaser. You want to get through those key numbers of 3 and 7. You do that. Of course, you need to find another team to pair them with. Consider the Eagles. You get them down to minus 1.5 against Minnesota. We're going to talk teasers a lot more in the Ultimate Betting Show throughout the season. Also, lunch line at 1 p.m. But I'm so glad we get to do this, Trav, because more time with you is well spent.
No doubt. By the way, this could be a playoff preview between these 2 games. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I'm getting ahead of myself here.
It's going to be a good one. I just want to say I'm so proud of you that Aaron Rodgers has grown on you. You were hating on him so hard, and now you're a fan.
I was.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us here in the PNC Bank studio, helping to make banking easier.